What's really good, my people? Welcome into No Catch Up Sports Talk via Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Little, Big Nick the Quick. With me, as always, Game 1 NBA Finals recap. The buzzer just went off. It's one of the craziest fourth quarters I've seen in quite a while.
Are you not entertained?
That's
you not entertained?
a good way to put it, actually. Me and Big Nick the Quick are going to talk about Game 1. Just chop it up real quick, give y'all a quick 30 minutes on the game. Going into the game, I'll just kick it off like this. I texted Nick, and I'm like, so if you don't know, going into the year, me and Nick had a bunch of futures. We played a couple teams in the West, and it was mostly Suns, Warriors, and then we played Bucks. The only team I really played in the East was the Bucks. I thought it'd be a rematch.
I played straight Suns Bucks. I had no one else.
Yeah. That was most of where most of our money was at, right? But I still had some Warriors futures. Right before the game tips, I text Nick. I'm like, man, my gut is telling me the Celtics are going to be tough here. Like, my gut's telling me the Celtics are going to win the series, but I'm not wagering on it. I'm not going to put up any money. And earlier on MSG, I laid out, I was like, these dudes, the one and only reason the Boston Celtics beat the Miami Heat and the Milwaukee Bucks is they flat out had more buckets than them. They could go to guys that could get them more baskets. And that was exactly what happened tonight in the fourth quarter. Before we even get to the fourth, what'd you think of the game? How'd you think it went?
I mean, is that what happened? Is that what happened in the fourth quarter? Because I mean, we'll get to that, but as far as the game goes, first of all, man, this is 100% what you sign up for, right? Like we watch all the games all year, watch all these playoff games, go through all these series, and we hope that we get to an NBA Finals that's matched up like this. And this game didn't disappoint. No matter who you're rooting for, it had every kind of drama you could hope for. Big runs from each team. Steph looked like in the first quarter he was going to go for 60. We looked like we were in for an all-timer. I'm just going through my notes on the game. Like, I think I had 4 different people where I was like, yo, this is their game. Like, I have Otto Porter game written down. I have Derek White game written down. I have Al Horford game written down. Jaylen Brown game written down. Like, everybody seemed like, at any given moment, they were going to be the person that was going to take over this game. So as far as the drama, the ups and downs, the pure basketball, the high level of skill, like all that was there.
Let me tell you where I'm at on it, because the explosion in the fourth obviously is what blew the doors open to the game. In the fourth quarter, the Celtics scored 40 points. They were 15 of 22 from the floor, 9 of 12 from three.
Unreal.
Just in the fourth. They outscored them 40-16.
Threes were falling like crazy all game for both squads.
Yeah, the net was bigger out in San Francisco tonight.
It was
for sure.
Massive.
This is now that the fourth quarter happened, and I mean, it is what it is. They came back. At one point, I opened up DraftKings just to see what was going on. I lost my only bet I played tonight. I played third quarter under, but I was looking to see what it was going into the fourth. At one point, I saw the Warriors minus 11.5 and minus 1,400 to win the game. They end up getting their doors blown off.
Yeah.
They lose by double digits. So overall, to cap it, it's really interesting that Steph goes out and does what he does. And I don't know what Boston was doing in the first quarter. They were playing drop coverage like I don't know who,
he wasn't Steph Curry.
Yeah, like they had never seen him play before.
Unbelievable. They were giving him so many open looks in the first quarter, and he was obviously going to take that every single time. And that's what I thought. I'm like, man, I get that it was only a 4-point first quarter, but I'm like, this pace is favoring the Warriors. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to keep up playing this style of basketball with the Golden State Warriors. Like, again, I get it was close. Both teams kind of had that offensive onslaught in the first quarter. But man, they were playing him like it wasn't Steph Curry.
Yeah, no, they were switching and playing drop coverage. It didn't make any sense, and he was knocking him down and making him pay, right? So he has an explosion in the first quarter. They don't really pull away. Still a close game. Then when it's all said and done, Jason Tatum doesn't even score 20 points. So it's like
Tatum didn't score for 20 straight minutes in this ball game.
Yeah.
A field goal.
And didn't look to score either.
No.
It wasn't like
he played great defense and he was dishing. You know what I mean? He was doing his thing offensively as far as playmaking, but he was not calling for the ball. He was willingly passing it. You know what I mean? He was just kind of like part of the action as far as whatever they were doing, but he was not looking to score. That's why Brown's fourth quarter was so massive, the way he came out in the fourth after those initial first couple minutes where Golden State was up and looked like they were going to win the game. Jaylen Brown really kind of took over.
And you know what's funny is that if that doesn't happen, we're slandering Tatum for not going to get his looks in the third quarter when they had their explosion. Like, yo, you disappeared the whole game.
I still am. Like, I don't understand what happened there, but yeah, I mean, obviously they won, but yeah.
Well, this is the excuse now, right? He could just be like, oh, in the fourth, I'm not. Why would I be shooting? Everybody else is knocking down everything. I'm looking for everybody else.
Yeah, I'm playmaking.
But before that, it was going to be like, yo, what was you up to? What were you doing there?
But then the counter to that is like, yo, will Derek White and Al Horford ever get that hot ever again in their life? You know what I mean? Al Horford hit, 6 threes, 7 threes tonight? Derek White hit, I want to say 2 or 3 in a row that were massive. Jaylen Brown again Jaylen Brown was, I believe, the catalyst to everything they were doing as far as the end of the game goes, right? Because even at the beginning of the fourth, look at the Warriors were going to run away with it. I think the Warriors were up like 14. Next thing you know, Jaylen Brown comes out after timeout, killing them. Al Horford, Derek White, like the three of them absolutely led that charge. Marcus Smart had a couple big shots down the stretch, but it was really started by Jaylen Brown coming out, killing them. Like on fire, and Jason Tatum was nowhere to be found.
Brown's been doing that, and he doesn't.
He's comfortable doing it.
I was just gonna say he looks so comfortable. He's not forcing anything. Yeah, very under control, very relaxed. Like, let me go ahead and go get a couple buckets. We need a couple of buckets here. And I think the biggest thing is for that fourth quarter, they got out. They came out in a hurry.
Yeah,
they weren't trying to scrap and claw. They were back in the game with legitimately 9.5 left in the fourth. It was like a 3-point game.
Yep.
Time Lord had a dunk, and it was like a 3-point game at that point.
And he played great D down the stretch as well.
By the way,
it's like Boston flipped a switch down the stretch that
they pummeled them down the stretch, and Golden State
never able to come up. They could not score.
They couldn't do anything.
They were hitting everything. Again, Al Horford's hitting wide open looks. Derek White's hitting timely threes. Jaylen Brown started off for him, and it's like they didn't even need Tatum. Tatum was playing good D, again, doing that, obviously distributing well, but he wasn't the Jason Tatum that we're used to as far as going for 30, 40, being unstoppable, and really looking to get his. For all that Kobe talk he's got, he didn't necessarily have the shot attempts to match, but they won. You can't really argue with a 12-point victory, right?
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't. In the fourth, I don't want to say, I didn't feel like Golden State was playing poor D. Boston was moving the rock very, very well. Extra pass here, drive and dish here, wrap around, pin, find the open guy. It wasn't, Derek White hit a couple tough ass shots.
Yeah.
Shot clock running down.
But the Horford shit was open. Like you said, it's finding the open man. And that kind of plays into what you just said about Tatum as far as, look, everybody's hitting their shit. If we're moving the rock, these guys are wide open.
Yeah, that's his built-in now.
Down. Why am I going to take a contested shot when I got 3 guys in my face? So
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'm finding guys that are knocking jumpers down.
You know, and in that regard, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. Again, they won by 12. They came back massively in the fourth. I thought that game was over early on. I'm like, yo, Golden State's at home. Crowd is with them. This is the Warriors. This is the championship. Again, that championship DNA like we just talked about on Tuesday. But man, what a game. What a fourth quarter. What a run.
Any other takeaways of
that game?
What were some other takeaways that you had while you were watching, while it was going down? I know I had a completely different set of notes in show, and then the fourth quarter happened, and now I got a completely different view on the game and what was going on. But time and time again, Boston has shown you that, dude, we got guys that can fill it up all over the place.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. Like, can you imagine if Steph doesn't have that blow up in the first?
Yeah. They're up huge.
They're up. Like, what are we even talking about, right?
And that's probably the takeaway is that Boston can play in any type of game that you want to play, right? Like, again, like I said, I thought the pace was really favoring the Warriors, and the fact that Boston ended up winning this game by 12 points tells you everything you need to know. In the Miami series, there's a lot more slower games, right? So they can play that way. I thought that's how they kind of want to get it with the Warriors. But again, this was a very, very fast-paced game, and Boston was able to hang with them. Boston was able to sustain every single run the Warriors went on. That's probably the biggest takeaway that I have. Like, the Warriors were never able to pull away. Again, even in the fourth where they were up double digits and it looked like, okay, this is going to be a 20-point Warriors game, Boston was able to sustain that. Boston was able to counter that and do what they wanted to do, hit the shots when they needed to. Like you said, move the ball really well, continue to play good defense, play smart down the stretch, and maintain composure. A lot of teams would crack in that point. Like, if you're down 14 to Golden State in the fourth quarter, a lot of teams would crack, start doing dumb shit, turn the ball over left and right, forcing things up, trying to play hero ball. It seems like Boston continued to look for the right shot, even if that was from Derek White, Al Horford, Marcus Smart, not necessarily your marquee guys down the stretch, and believed in that and committed to it. So again, that's coaching, man. Like, that's
yeah, they didn't get
saying, hey, we're not gonna do this hero shit.
But like you said, it was so massive that Jaylen Brown came out in the fourth and got him going early in the quarter because it wasn't like a panic. It's like, oh, we're still in the game.
Right.
There's 10 minutes left.
And that's the combo of that superstar shit, but then also, again, like, okay, let's get what we can get and capitalize on that. So, yeah, Brown came out and was like, yeah, we can still do this. And I'm going to get a couple quick threes here, play some D. And he was dishing the ball. I think he had a big dish to Time Lord. And then from there, they just kind of opened the floodgates. And that was when White hit the big three back to back. Then Al Horford was just lights out.
And for all the threes that were hitting the fourth, Derek White, Al Horford, Marcus Smart hit a lot of jumpers in the first half.
Sure
that kept them in the game and kept it very, very close.
And got Steph into foul trouble. That second foul that Steph picked up on the offensive foul in the second quarter where he pushed off, which he always does. But Marcus Smart sold that with a couple extra falls back.
Well, you saw what happened before that, though, right? He was grabbing his arm, and then he knew he was going to retaliate. So he's like, all right, as soon as he pushes me off here, I'm gonna go ahead and sell it and pick up offensive foul.
And that's high level defensive irritant shit. Like, you got to know how to do stuff like that because getting Steph into foul trouble, it gets into Steph's head. It takes him off his rhythm. In the second quarter, he was trash. He didn't score at all.
Yeah. They weren't dropping anymore, though.
Yeah. Well,
you have big long wings that are now stepping up.
You should have never dropped in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
You cannot have a drop. Like, listen, man. Like, of all the players in the NBA, of all the players that ever play basketball, Steph Curry is the last guy you want to run a drop coverage on.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's going to punish you every single time.
I'm going to tell you this about Time Lord. If it's you, him, and the basket, just go ahead, pull it out.
Yeah.
Just go ahead, pull it out, and reset it.
Yep.
You're not getting an easy bucket if Time Lord is not on the move. If he's already caught up to you, just go ahead, pull it back out.
Yeah.
It's over with. He's that lock. He's that efficient, that good on defense when it's one-on-one, especially. So
someone said Draymond's tricking y'all. He's running around doing nothing. I was saying that in the first quarter. I called Sean. I was
like, you did. He actually, you called. Go ahead. Say what you said.
The Looney minutes are way better than the Draymond minutes because at least Looney, if he gets the ball, he's getting rid of it immediately. He knows he's not even trying to look for a shot. I think Draymond missed his first three shots, a three and then two shots in the paint.
He was 2 of 12.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good at all. I understand he does a ton for them defensively. He does a ton offensively. It's running the offense through him. But if he's going to be 2 of 12, when Looney's out there just playing with crazy energy, setting screens for Steph and kind of knowing his role, like, the Draymond minutes for me were very questionable in this series because he's such a zero on offense. And to your point, Boston has so many guys that can fill it up. You almost can't afford to have a guy. It's hot, but you almost can't afford to have a guy like that in the series going 2 for 12. You'd rather have Looney playing those minutes.
Is Boston gonna make it too tough on Clay for where he's at right now and his coming off of 2 major injuries? He doesn't move like he used to. Are they gonna make it too difficult for him to? Is this the type of game we can expect from Clay? Is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, I
6
mean,
of 14, couple threes, 15 points.
and he didn't look bad, but he didn't dominate. It wasn't like the Clay
He looked
before where like
right,
he's coming off of everything and he's just knocking down threes and he ends up with 25, 26.
right.
So he struggled in that regard, but nah, man, I just think that this was such a weird game offensively for Golden State. Like you
Where did
can't
that what wait, but what is it though? Did everyone get caught up watching Steph?
I think they got
Were
caught
they
up
just
watching. Yeah,
waiting on Steph to just continue to do what he was doing in the first quarter?
100%. Yeah, I think everybody was waiting for Steph to bail them out in the fourth quarter because the fourth quarter is when it really all fell apart for them in the offensively, right? The first 3 quarters they were fine, and it was that last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter that they fell apart. Like they should have scored 120 points this game. So I mean, if you kind of just look at those last 10 minutes, they couldn't do anything offensively, and that's when it really fell apart for them. Otherwise, you could look at the first 40 minutes of this game and they were fine. Andrew Wiggins was doing his thing as far as being that third or fourth guy. Jordan Poole wasn't great, but I mean, I thought they were fine offensively until that last 8 minutes. That's why it was so
They're
crazy.
gonna need Jordan Poole to score 20 points.
But that's why this is one of the weirdest games I've ever seen. They just completely fell apart at the end of the game. And for a team like Golden State, who you've never really seen do that, it was just,
That was what they used to do to people.
Exactly.
Just like demoralizing jumpers, possession after possession. It's like,
and grind it out.
We can't come back from this. It's over.
Yeah. And that's what I thought was going to happen when they were up big in the beginning of the fourth. So, I mean, I don't know if you can bank on this happening again, but you got to give Boston credit for 100% capitalizing on it. Even without Tatum. But at the same time, if you're Golden State, you're like, yo, is Jason Tatum going to have a game this bad again? So I think it was just 2 things that you might not see happen again in this series. And, man, just like I don't know what you really learned from this game. It was a fun game. It was awesome, but like I don't really know what you really learned from it because you saw some weird shit that might not happen again. Could you see Golden State going flat again for 8 minutes in the NBA Finals game? And could you see Jason Tatum, being that timid offensively again? Which were 2,
Well, I think I learned that Clay's not playing against. I mean, Dallas
3
was
for
really
17.
good. Dallas was really good defensively too. But
3 for 17.
Who?
Tatum.
Yeah, he was terrible.
And they won by 12.
No, yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it was ridiculous, right? So,
crazy. Yeah,
I mean,
Boston. Golden State hit 19 threes and lost the game.
Would you lean more? This is a throwaway because you're never gonna get a performance like from Derek White and Al Horford like that. Like I mean, just like us watching as fans, you say like, hey, all right, this is a throwaway because you're never gonna get. And by throwaway, I mean it's hard to gauge get a real beat on how the series is gonna go because you're never gonna get a performance like that from Derek White or Tatum again. But I just don't see I don't know what to expect that I didn't see from Golden State already. Like this is kind of. If you're the Warriors, Steph leads them in scoring. You get 20-17 from Clay. Like, you know what I'm saying? What are we missing that we didn't get offensively, particularly is what I'm saying from Golden State. Like, I guess Poole didn't have a crazy game, but because
Steph had 34, but 24 of them came in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing you would look at. If you expect Steph Curry to have 10 points through the next 36 minutes of the game, that's not really going to happen. I think the biggest thing if you're Golden State, you take away is Al Horford and Derek White played the games of their lives, and that probably won't happen again, but we also need to respect the fact that they can do that, right? And that needs to factor in whatever it is that we're trying to do. But we also didn't know that, again, Steph Curry won't play like that again. You got to bank on the fact that Steph Curry's been in these moments enough times to not have played like that. But again, like I just said, knowing Tatum probably will not play like that either. But yeah, saying Steph Curry led them in scoring, it's like, yeah, Steph had 34, but he should have had 50. Like, he looked like he was going for 50 tonight. He was on fire in the first quarter. He did not score a single point in the second quarter, and in the second half, he had 10. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen again. And I don't know if you're ever going to see an 8-minute stretch of basketball like that from the Golden State Warriors.
I mean, so that was one of the most incredible fourth quarters I've ever seen.
And if I would have told you that would have happened, if you hadn't watched the game, you'd be like, "Oh, Tatum went crazy." It's like, no, not quite. It was terrible.
not at all.
It was Derek White and Al Horford, if we're really being honest, sparked by Jaylen Brown. So I think that if you're Golden State, you're not looking at that game like, damn, we got nothing for these boys. Like it's kind of a different feeling. It's just like, man, we gave them that one. We fucked that up. We gave them that one, but we can definitely bounce back. And if you're Boston, it's like, yeah, we better get Tatum going because we can't expect Al Horford to hit 6 threes every game.
Yeah, going into the game on MSG and a couple other spots, I was looking around and I couldn't find anyone that took the Celtics.
Nobody. Nowhere.
I'm like, what? No, so nobody wants the Celtics, huh? Like nobody's taking the Celtics.
Now, ESPN, everybody took Golden State.
Everyone was on Golden State.
You said earlier that made it spooky.
It was spooky. I'm like, oh man. Yeah. I texted it in the group. I'm like, look, I said it earlier. I'm like, makes me a little nervous that everyone's on the Warriors. Right. So I'm gonna stay off full. It's
kind of like the Heat Game 6, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no way Boston's coming off a 7-game grueling series.
Right.
Yada yada yada. Man.
But do you see what I'm saying? As far as like, can you expect this to happen to Golden State again? Like it was, you just don't see them play like that. Like again, quote unquote championship DNA, but you don't see them play like that. Like I can't think of ever seeing them play like that. And a lot of those
saying just ball it up, throw it out. Yeah. Horford and those guys aren't going to do that.
Respect those guys.
In game 2.
Respect those guys because they. Respect those guys because they 100% did it in game 1 in the finals on the road, right? But know that a lot of shit happened in this game that wouldn't normally happen, whether it's Steph in foul trouble, right? Jordan Poole didn't do shit. Steph didn't really do shit after the first quarter. Al Horford and Derek White were playing like they were all NBA.
This is the other issue, though.
And you could never pull away.
I shouldn't say issue, but this is the thing that makes Boston spooky. Like, I could see them coming back in game 2, Tatum scoring 35, and then Grant Williams scoring 22. Do you know what I mean? Like, they have guys.
I actually forgot he even played today.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? They have guys that get hot, score in bunches, and then next thing you know, it's the same shit, but different guys.
But so does Golden State.
Derek White's not going to have the game of his life again. Oh, don't worry. Grant Williams will just score 22. Okay. Like, or Pritchard scores 15. Like, that's what they just have so many baskets all over the place. That's why they're so scary to me.
But Steph Curry, all things considered, didn't have a great game. On the stat sheet, his game was fine. But
can you utter that? Is that possible to say?
He had a great first quarter.
I don't know if he can say that.
He had a great
He still needs somebody. Someone else has got to step up and do some shit.
Okay, but he had a great first quarter.
Come on, mate. So just so we're clear, you're saying he didn't have a good game. You can't consider it a good game because it was a majority of it came in the first?
Yeah, what do you mean? He had 12 points after the first quarter, 10 points after the first quarter. He didn't score at all in the second quarter. He didn't score at all in the second quarter. What are you talking? What do you mean? The game was tight. I would consider
this a good Steph Curry game, is what I'm saying.
Really? The game was tight the entire game. He was good in the first quarter and then didn't really do anything after that. He had 0 points in the second quarter.
No, I understand.
No.
He was super light in the
second quarter.
He was super light in the second quarter. He didn't score, and then he was super light.
He was fucking hot air balloon. He didn't score at all.
No, but this is still considered a good game. If he's going to give you 34, I don't care when it is. He's still going to need support from the supporting. He's going to need supporting cast to step up and give him some buckets at some point.
Sure, if he scores but what 30, I'm saying. You usually count on him to do something for you in the third and fourth quarters, and he didn't. He did a little bit in the fourth, but he didn't do anything for you in the third and fourth quarters when you're counting on one of the greatest players in NBA history. What do you mean? We judge guys on how they play in the fourth quarter. He didn't do anything in the fourth quarter.
This is a hot take. Yeah,
this isn't hot. I think it's hot that you're saying that he had a good game.
I understand what you're saying, that he fell off in the fourth, but that him not scoring,
he fell off after the first. That's
no.
what I'm saying. Not about the fourth. There was nothing to fall off of in the second because he didn't score.
I understand what you're saying, but it's a little too far to say he didn't have a good game. He scored 34 on 50% shooting from the floor.
He had a great box score. He didn't play great in this game. Steph didn't separate them the way that he does. We talk about what do you mean? That's what Steph does. He demoralizes you. He consistently sticks a dagger in you for 4 quarters when he hits demoralizing threes because you give
so
a
just
ton
so
of
I'm clear.
Because you give a ton of effort on the defensive end trying to stop him, and he pulls away, does some shit, and then shimmies on you, and you feel like shit, and that affects you on the offensive end.
Let me get, just so I'm clear. If you score 24 in the first, and then score 10 after that, you have a bad game. But if you score 10 in the first and then 24 in the fourth, you have an amazing game.
If most
folks, hold on, answer the question.
What?
If you score 10 in the first, and 24 in the fourth, you have an amazing game. If you score 24 in the first then 10 the rest, it's a bad game.
Because those 24 in the fourth where you didn't score a bucket for 8 minutes would have mattered in the fourth. Because they could not score in the fourth.
So just make sure you spread the points out. So like 10, so like 8 is a good game.
Or make sure you contribute to your team not going on a fucking 20-0 deficit in the fourth quarter. What do you mean?
No,
he didn't do anything for 8 minutes.
So just so I'm clear, for Nick, if a nigga scores 25 in the first quarter, they better score another 40 in the rest of the game for it to be considered a good game. Just so we're clear.
For Nick, if the game is close, you need to show up in the fourth quarter. Apparently for you, if you score a bunch of points in the first, you're exempt from the rest of the ball game.
If you score 30 in the first, you better score 45 the rest of the game for it to be.
Hey, Sean, hey, listen. Hey, Sean clocks in at 9. He's done working at 11, but wants to be paid till 5.
Yeah. Come on. I'm not blaming any of this on Steph Curry. Like, I understand that he didn't make a big of an impact in the second half of the game as he did in the first half, but
didn't make as big as an impact. Man, your standards are fucking low.
He still needs some help from guys.
Yeah, he absolutely does, but he's also Steph Curry, and he should be available in the fourth quarter to help you break away in the game.
Okay, I mean, yeah,
I don't know how you can't agree with that.
I don't know how
you can sit here and be like,
I would like Steph to score 25 points, and I would like Steph to score no points and then show up in the fourth and score 30.
So basically, what you're telling me is that the timing of your points don't matter. That's basically what you're saying. Like his 34, no matter how you come in, it's the same 34. Guys who get hot in the fourth quarter and able to close out games don't really matter.
You said
you're saying. You're saying the same thing. You're saying 25 in the first is the same as 25 in the fourth, and I'm telling you, absolutely not.
You said he had a bad game.
I didn't say he didn't have a great game.
You said he had a bad game.
He had a great quarter. He had a great quarter. What is it, a game or a quarter? Quarter is 1/4. Quarter is 1/4.
Okay. All right. Okay. I understand what you're saying.
If you go to my crib and I feed you dinner and the appetizer is good, does that mean you had a good meal? If the main course and the dessert are shit, did you have a good meal? No, you had a good appetizer. That's great. I might have made you the best calamari ever, but I fed you shit pasta. What are you talking about?
But
hey, Sean came over. The appetizer was great. Dinner was shit, but the meal was excellent. Okay.
Look,
hey man, come over for crab cakes.
Hey man, look, if I'm cooking, bro, and I put together the first course as a A+, I would expect some help from the other people in the kitchen to put out the rest.
I'm at your house
to put out the rest of the meal. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need some help at some point.
Not if you call yourself Chef Curry. I would expect for you to be able to make more than an appetizer tonight.
All right. I feel you. I gotta jump in some of these comments. Let me see what some of these motherfuckers
go to Sean's house for breakfast and get a good hash brown. Don't have the omelet though. Don't drink the coffee.
I understand what you're saying. To close this section up, Steph, I think that's still considered a good game for me for Steph. He didn't have a bigger impact in the second half as you would like, but he still needs help. He's not going to continue a 25-point pace
Sean's the Steph Curry apologist tonight.
That he puts up in the first quarter. Like,
I don't need. No, I'm not asking him to score 100.
Yeah.
Of course not. But I'm asking him to make an impact in the fourth quarter. If you're going to sit here and tell me he made an impact in the fourth quarter, I didn't see it.
I also think that fourth quarter was something like we've never seen before. The game was all of it. They were on a 17-0 run at one point.
Yeah, they did, and
it was
the O was on Steph Curry. Steph Curry was part of that O, wasn't he? Or was he? Or were those first quarter points carry over? Is it? I didn't understand.
So you wanted to see Steph come down and just take over on his own.
Is he able to borrow from the first quarter and put it towards the fourth in your book? Because apparently,
no,
fourth quarters are great.
But overall, what you're saying is you would have wanted Steph Steph to come down and like, hold on, let me slow this up and get a couple buckets here.
I would have liked him to score when it counted because they absolutely needed buckets in the fourth quarter of this game during that 18-0 run. And they didn't get any because that's why they had 0. So at some point, I understand he had a great first quarter. He set the tone for them. They went up by 4 after the first quarter. But after that, he did not score in the second at all, which contributed to them being down. What were they down? 4 at the half?
Right? 2 at the half. 2 at the half.
6-point swing right there. And then they ended up losing the game by 12. And he scored 10 points the rest of the way or 12 points the rest of the way. Maybe he had 22 in the first.
They did smoke him in the third. I think the fourth they just collapsed, and
pick a quarter for Steph Curry to have shown up and helped them win the ball game. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Pick a third or fourth quarter. He didn't show up in either of them. You can't sit here and tell me that was a good game because he scored a bunch of points in the first quarter and that averaged out to 34. That's like, I'm not even trying to be funny. That's like saying, I scored 30 on Tuesday and 10 on Thursday. I'm a 20-point scorer. Consistently. Like, it's not. You need to spread that shit out. You need to be consistent. You need to contribute.
I think you're being harsh. I understand that you'd want to see more from him in the fourth, but I think he still needs some help from other people.
We didn't see anything in the fourth. What do you have? 5 points, 6 points? What are we talking about?
I don't know what the breakout was by quarter, but I know he had 10 points in the second half.
I would rather have Steph Curry had 43 points today and maybe give me 12 in the fourth quarter when it counted, when they absolutely needed a bucket. Because again, Steph's buckets are different. When Steph scores, it's demoralizing because he scores off shit that other people in the league just don't score off of. You can draw up the perfect defense. You can be in his face. He gets a sliver of space and he scores and it demoralizes you. And it affects you. It affects you in the offensive end. Case in point, Steph hit a huge 3 in the first quarter. Jaylen Brown comes down and just launches a terrible 3-pointer. Steph hits a huge 3 in the first quarter. Al Horford comes down and starts trying to post folks up like he's Joel Embiid. So that stuff matters, right?
I will say this.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Those buckets do matter. Steph demoralizes you with his threes.
I will say this. A lot of that 24 in the first 2, he was getting wide open looks.
Yeah.
He was getting wide open looks.
Exactly.
He was coming off screens. People were going underneath screens. People were going underneath screens. He was getting wide open looks. And then as soon as they stopped drop coverage and started showing, he didn't score any points in the second quarter. And then they continued that in the second half, and he was struggling. So he's going to need help from other spots.
We just talked about the first quarter was unprecedented Steph Curry defense. Like, you don't defend him like that. So again, he did not have a great game.
Boston might.
You just argued against yourself. He did not have a great. Didn't have a great game. You cannot sit here and tell me that was a Steph Curry game.
I will say it's a great Steph Curry game. It was still a good game from him overall. If you put it in it just is.
It was actually I give it a C-.
Okay, we'll leave it there. What do you expect to see in game 2? What would you like to see? Or Boston is really scary, dog.
They are.
I said that shit. I've been saying it. They are really a spooky squad. Anything you want to see in game 2, just from the Warriors offensively and how they can get other guys rolling before we get out of here?
Yeah, Warriors got to come out with it sounds cliche, but they have to come out with a shit ton of energy. Like, you got to step on their throats early, and you got to keep that momentum throughout the entire game. Right? Like, I don't care if you have a 25-point first, but you better follow that up with a 15-point fourth, right? And that's for everybody. Like, they have to come out. They have to take Boston out of the game early. Keep the same defensive strategy on Jason Tatum, right? Make it difficult on him all series. Obviously, that affected them tonight. You can hope that can affect them in game 2. It might not, but obviously, if it worked, keep doing it. But energy-wise, you can't let them go on these runs that kind of take the wind out of your sails. Like, you got to be in control of the game from the very beginning, and you got to keep that for 4 quarters. That's it. If you're Golden State, that's what you got to do. If you're Boston, prioritize getting. If you're Boston, prioritize getting Tatum easy buckets early so that he feels confident and is aggressive throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, I would. If I'm the Warriors, I got to get Jordan Poole involved and going early. When he's hot and rolling early, he starts to have a little bit of swagger that he doesn't necessarily have off the jump coming out of the locker room. I would get him going just to get another ball handler, a guy that can handle it and shoot it and do all that. I would get him rolling. Also, you got to get these guys. From all the guys, think about all the guys on Boston. How many of them can finish at the cup? Run these dudes off the 3-point line. Get them out of the corner and wide open looks for 3. Leave Draymond down. I know Draymond's going to be moving a bunch, but Draymond, Looney, make them go to the cup and get a couple. They shot 41 threes. Bring that number down to 30, 28, 29, 30, and you'll have a better shot, I think, to try to contain those guys, because the only guys that can go to the rim and finish consistently, Marcus Smart can too, I guess, a little bit, but it's Tatum and Brown that want to go to the cup and can.
You'll live with Marcus Smart thinking that he can go to the cup and score.
Yeah.
I think you can live with Marcus Smart being confident because he's going to ultimately take some terrible shots, like we saw in Game 7 of the Miami series. So
he was efficient today, but
did his thing. Good.
Yeah.
If I'm Golden State, I'm almost allowing Marcus Smart to build confidence because he can become overly confident in his ability.
I think 3 guys are going to have to be 20-plus guys for Golden State. If that's Poole, Wiggins, and Clay, if that's Poole, Curry, and Wiggins, 3 guys are going to have to score a dub for these dudes to be in the game and push it in game 2. So I'm looking forward to it. How many days off do we got?
Sunday, so they get 2.
Sunday. So
NBA is being generous this year.
Yeah, a little couple
only one.
days.
No, I'm sorry. Wait, no, is it Thursday? It's Thursday, so 2 days.
Yeah, 2 days. Friday, Saturday off, game Sunday. So
yeah, they're having them play every 36 hours during the first 3 rounds.
They were in quick turnarounds. So, all right, we'll leave it there. For Big Nick the Quick, I'm your host, Sean Loto. Hey, we're going to do these recaps every single game after the finals. Game 2 coming up. We'll do one Sunday night for you guys. Stay locked with us. No Catch Us Sports Talk via Chicago. We out of here.